Welcome to the Freaky Film Club, number 6, where we're going to be looking at Nightmare on Elm Street, part 6.
What a coincidence.
Yeah.
Odd how that works out.
Yeah, it is. It's almost like we did them in order or something.
Yeah.
Who would have thought?
So, I'm back with my good pals, the Pop Culture Roulette bros, Nicholas and Justin. Hi, guys.
How's it going?
Yeah, hey.
It's really good to be doing this once again. We're getting close to the end of the franchise, and, well, does it seem apparent that the wheels are starting to fall off of this franchise yet?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
So, Freddy's dead. The final nightmare, did they call it that? Is there a subtitle?
Yeah, I don't even think it's actually called Nightmare on Elm Street. I think it's Freddy's Dead, the Final Nightmare.
Right. So this was 91, supposed to be the last one, but obviously that was not the case, as we'd find out.
Wow. Like all horror franchises, you never really die.
Right.
I know some we discussed. Isn't it kind of weird that like every one of these was an 80s movie, except for like this one? And then obviously because this is where they wanted to end it in 91. It's weird to think that this entire franchise was just in the 80s.
Right.
Because when I think of it, man, I'm still thinking of when I was a kid in the 90s, early 2000s.
Yeah, I mean, I think because of home video, like it really found another life later in the 90s with Blockbuster and home, whatever other places you rented from. But yeah.
And then after people listen to the Freaky Film Club on it, it's going to find a whole nother life.
Oh, that's
True. Well, these
You're welcome.
Gen Zers are going to find it.
maybe they'll reboot the whole franchise altogether. Or just start making sequels again, one of the two.
Yeah. Robert Englund, he's still young enough. He could do some more.
Yeah, I think he's even said he's got interest in it.
Yeah, maybe I have to get rid of some of the physical effects that he did for some other stuff. But yeah, I'd sign him up.
Yeah.
That's what CGI is for. Plus, you got a mask on. You can throw a stuntman in the mask for some of the more difficult stuff. But
Right
Isn't
on.
it more
Yeah.
prosthetics than a mask for his look? Like he sits in a chair and they do it as makeup, not just like
yeah, I mean,
wear this hockey mask. Anyone?
well,
can do
no,
it.
I mean it's like I was referring more to like it's not just like they put a little paint on his face. Like it's a whole, thing.
a whole spiel.
But yeah, so film opens up with John Doe, who they never really do name. It's just
No, they
John
leave
Doe.
him as John Doe the whole
Just call him
time.
John.
He's having a nightmare, and it's the first encounter with Freddy. We don't really know exactly what's going on, but we do know it's a nightmare pretty easily. I mean, they kind of give that away right away. So.
Well, yeah, they also have the cheesy like 10 years in the future.
Oh yes, yeah. What do you think of the nightmare sequence here?
It was entertaining, like, especially like he's on the plane. It's got the whole like there's a creature on the wing kind of feel to it.
Yeah.
Then when the lady gets sucked up and he's like, I almost escaped. And somehow ends up in that house with Freddy Krueger being like the Wicked Witch of the West.
Oh yes.
I mean, like you said, they do kind of let you know but like they open with that visual on the computer and it's like 10 years in the future, all the kids and teenagers in the town are dead. And then it immediately opens with a teenager and then a little kid who like turns over the camera and is like, he's coming for you or he, whatever. It's like,
Yeah.
wait,
Wait a
what?
minute.
You're not going to survive. Yeah.
Like, wait a minute. Hold on now.
They're not in the town. They're in an airplane.
Right.
Therefore, it's okay.
Okay.
Sure. Okay. Yeah. And so the dream ends with Freddy driving a bus and John cartoonishly going through like a invisible wall into what is it, Springwood.
Springwood.
Very
Springwood, Ohio.
Very Bugs Bunny.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then Freddy not being able to get there himself. So he's just looking at him through the cutout of a human body in the backdrop.
Yeah. Which is pretty funny. So then we are introduced to the characters at a
It's like a juvenile detention center. I would call it that.
And to me, I really got some vibes of Friday the 13th Part 5 from this one, where they're all in that like halfway house or whatever.
Okay.
You got like these characters that, and really kind of like I got sort of a Dream Warriors vibe too. You've got like these characters that are like, I don't know, sort of like outcasts, and at any moment could snap.
Yeah.
You really don't want to get too close to them because they probably are. Right?
Punch you in the face.
Yeah.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, it definitely has a kind of a we stole a lot of influence from 3.
Yeah. Like, ooh, that movie did well. Like, let's kind of
People liked that one.
Yeah, that's the best one so far. Let's just do them.
And so you're introduced to the stoner guy who's Breckenmeyer.
Breckenmeyer's character, yes.
His name is Spencer. Mm-hmm. Then you've got Carlos, played by Ricky Dean Logan. Carlos, he has a disability, which comes into play later. They use that as one of the ways that he gets offed. And then there's Tracy, who is played by Leslie Dean or Deanne, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't.
But those are our 3 like teens,
Yeah.
and who we're probably going to be spending most of the movie with. And so yeah, kind of the introduction to them. You find out John Doe wakes up outside of town with no memory. He gets picked up by the police and taken to that little juvenile detention center or whatever you call it.
Like when they find him too, you notice there's the smallest amount of blood on that rock.
Yeah,
like he gets whipped off a bus through a fake screen wall, hits his head on a rock, which is how he loses his memory.
Mm-hmm.
And he's barely got a single cut above his eye.
Yeah.
And the spot the blood is on the rock is not where his head is. Like, I feel like you might have a little more significant of an injury. Getting whipped off a bus.
And I feel like to lose that kind of memory, like you have to hit your head a lot harder.
Yeah, a lot harder than just have a scratch above the eye.
Yeah, that's true. So we're also introduced to a character named Maggie Burroughs, who's a doctor, and you kind of realize right away that she picks some stuff out of his pockets, and she sees like the newspaper clipping of, I think it's Amanda, right?
I think so, yeah.
And then there's like some stuff to stay awake and some other random shit, and so we kind of start piecing some things together through what she's finding, and she comes up with the idea that maybe she can jog his memory by taking him back through the neighborhood. And so they go on like a bit of a road trip.
Before we get to the road trip part, when she's talking to John Doe the first time about how he's like, I can't sleep, do you think he was a little overdramatic? Like, she tells him to sit down, and he like picks up the chair and he just slams it down.
Oh,
and
yeah.
then just like huffing sits on it and crosses it up. It's like, come on, dude.
Yeah.
Being a little dramatic here.
That's true.
So on this road trip, they go to Springwood.
Mm-hmm.
So they're like the next town over.
Yeah.
So the next town over, all of the kids and teenagers are dead.
Yeah.
And all the adults are somehow, because of it, going crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And like the other town isn't like there's no like they didn't like cordon that town off, or,
right?
Like there's no mention of like don't go over there, man. Those people are crazy.
Like no surrounding areas, but like don't go to that town. No, nothing.
No, like that
is
like,
weird.
oh, I'm gonna take them here. Don't do that.
Everyone's just accepted it.
Like just if you're under the age of 18, do not go to that town. They've got a bad track record.
Yeah, that is odd. I mean, then they even still bother to just have like the festivities. And
Yeah, they still have the fair. That's where they go to make their to make a phone call.
Yeah, and it's the saddest fair ever. I mean, just all adults, and they're like doing nothing. They're wandering around. So why they even bother to set these things up is beyond me. Or who's setting it up?
Yeah. I mean, if there's no kids, just be like, no fair.
Right.
I wondered if it was like the fair was happening and then they just left it up and like they just like it gave me very much a like
a year-round fair of nothingness.
Land of the Dead feel where like all the adults are zombies and the zombies are just like they used to be gas station attendants, so like they just kind of still do it.
Sure,
Like,
they're just stuck to them.
they're just
Yeah, well, you just see that one sad guy driving around in the bumper cars in circles by himself.
Oh yeah,
yeah. Like that's what you were doing when you died. So like and they don't really explain why the parents are going crazy because all the kids are dead.
Mm-hmm.
Like, is it they are also now sleep deprived because they're afraid Freddy's coming for them? Or
Well, no, they make that comment when you see Roseanne and Dan. Is that his real name?
no, Tom Arnold.
Because I know in the credits it says Mr. and Mrs. Tom Arnold,
Yeah,
which I thought was funny. They even say that there's children, you know who they bring.
right.
So that means without the children, they probably sleep fine.
Right,
Figure they'll
so-
sleep better because it's quiet. You don't.
Right,
You have
yeah.
no children running around.
Yeah, and so then it doesn't really explain why the town has gone crazy. Like,
No.
no.
And she makes that comment about how she misses her kids.
right,
It's like, Mom, just move to a different town.
right.
Just leave that town. You're an adult.
Now, for the younger audience, which would I'm guessing even younger than you, like when Roseanne and Tom Arnold come on, like for us, me more than maybe even the two of you, you're like, oh, it's Roseanne, it's Tom Arnold.
Yeah.
Because I mean, back in the 80s, early 90s, like they were huge. So that would have been a massive cameo. Now, like, do kids even recognize that that is a cameo? Like, it's not
I
just
don't think they do.
like that's just two random like
Just people,
yeah,
weird
like
people.
extras, you know, that happen to get a couple extra lines. Like,
Well, who's more recognizable, would you say, in terms of cameos? This one or the one from Dream Warriors where it's the talk show? What was it?
oh,
Zsa Zsa Gabor and
yeah.
I would think it's this one.
This one,
This one.
yeah, because at least Roseanne, like, had that revival a couple years ago, so there's a chance maybe.
yeah, yeah,
Plus, they still play some of the old Roseanne episodes. I
Yeah.
think.
that's true.
I don't know if they still do anymore.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how many people know who Jack Parr is.
Yeah, we forgot. Like, I don't remember that guy's name.
Yeah. So then, yeah, along the same trip, we also find out that the other teens were sneaking along in the van. So the doctor freaks out and is immediately like, you guys got to go back, find a phone, like you said, and call the police and get home. But they take a detour. They go to the old Elm Street house.
Would you call the whatever they're trying to escape?
Mm-hmm.
They get out, and she's like, "All right, I'm not going to supervise you. I trust you to go make a phone call
Oh, yeah.
and go back."
That
As soon
was
as she
pretty
walks
lazy.
away, I'd just be like, "Not doing that."
Okay. Fuck this.
So somehow Freddy still has a magic power over the town that keeps people from being able to drive out of the town. Like, I feel like there's a power set that he's never had before. Like,
Right, yeah. That was really trippy.
also, like, if the entire town has, I don't know, a couple hundred kids, teenagers murdered, that's the kind of news that makes it at least to the next town.
Yeah.
So, like,
Yeah.
the word Freddy Krueger probably gets from Springwood to whatever, the Elm Grove or whatever they're, you know.
Because, I mean, it was, when they look at the sign, it was like 2 miles.
Right.
So, yeah, like, there's civilization very close. So, yeah,
Like, even back then, like, the news cycle wasn't necessarily as 24/7 as it is now, but even then, I feel like if a town in California had, like, a couple hundred teenagers murdered in very mysterious ways,
yeah.
us here in the Milwaukee area would have at least, like, you know, heard a quick blurb about it. Yeah.
I would say so.
Which I think is all that, because Freddy's whole thing was he needs to get the kids to go, like, remember who he is and go to the next town so that he has the power to leave that town, which is a very weird, all of a sudden, like, I can't, his, you know, these dream demons that gave him the power, like,
Oh, God. Yeah, I can't wait till we get to that part.
Yeah.
That's something else.
we'll only give you the power in city limits. You can't go outside of city limits.
Right. As soon as you leave, like, that's
Within
too
this
much.
within this 5-block radius, this is yours.
Yeah, I'm starting to think that Rachel Talalay took a lot of liberties here. Because there's a lot of things from Freddy that we are, you know, they're just adding some things we never really saw before.
Right.
So Yes, the kids, they take the van. They somehow are trusted to go off on their own. And, of course, they don't follow the rules. They go to the Elm Street house, the old Elm Street house.
Right,
Where,
and of all the houses they could have picked,
yeah.
that's the one they picked.
Yeah, really good idea.
Very convenient.
And immediately the house starts bleeding, so you know they're in for a good time.
Yeah, the whole front of the house changes as soon as they leave. Suburban house to the Elm Street house.
So they make themselves at home. Immediately, I think Spencer just lays down in front of the TV and gets stoned.
Carlos goes upstairs.
Carlos, yeah.
They go to the house, and the first thing he does is he just goes upstairs and picks a bed.
Right.
All right, I'm gonna go lay in this random house's bed.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Smart.
that's what I do. Just break into a house and take a nap.
And this is kind of where things start to pick up a little bit. Then there's this whole thing where they go to the orphanage and they discover Freddy had a kid. And John Doe thinks that that's the reason why he was left alive, because he is the son of Freddy, which is not true.
Spoilers.
Spoilers, yeah. So there's that whole thing. And then back at the house, Spencer falls asleep and Carlos falls asleep. Actually, they all really fall asleep, but Carlos and Spencer are the only ones to get killed off right away.
Yeah, Carlos falls asleep first. Because he goes upstairs and he just goes and he lays in that dusty ass bed.
Mm-hmm.
He just goes, all right, I'm just going to lay in this random stranger's bed. He falls asleep and then he has his adventures with Freddy.
This is brutal. Like, Freddy is a dick in this one.
Yeah, yeah. Freddy really abuses Carlos.
Yeah.
He does. Because it starts with Carlos. He's wandering around what looks like a boiler room.
Mm-hmm.
And he doesn't have his hearing aid in, so he's not hearing anything. And you just see Freddy behind him, like, screaming and dancing, almost like mocking the fact that he can't hear him coming.
Yeah.
So then, like, eventually, Carlos finds his hearing aid, which Freddy turns into an amplifier almost. So every little noise is, like, just driving him insane.
Mm-hmm.
So that's really when Freddy starts in with all of his antics and torturing poor Carlos.
Yeah. I really appreciate, too, that at one point when he's, like, behind him, like, messing with him, he even turns to the camera and is like, whoosh.
adding to, like, being a Bugs Bunny cartoon.
Right, yeah, yeah. So he's screwing with the poor guy, and eventually the ultimate death comes with the chalkboard, right? That's the last thing.
Yep.
Yeah, before he drops all those pins or needles.
Yeah.
And then Carlos tries to catch them because they're just so loud.
Yeah.
I was like, come on. Yes, then he pulls out that chalkboard and he just expands it and starts scratching it with his claws.
It makes his head explode.
Yes.
What a brutal way to go.
Yeah, that's rough. So yeah, that's Carlos's death. Then Spencer's death is pretty unique. Really speaks to me as a gamer, much like that blind bag. It's a Nintendo tie-in. Pretty cool, actually. Which also cool but silly. Like, it leads again to this fourth wall
very
silliness, like Bugs Bunny-esque. He's just sitting there playing Nintendo. I mean, not really. He's using an Atari-style joystick. But then eventually he does bust out the Power Glove.
Yeah, forgot the Power Glove.
Yeah.
I have one of those still somewhere. The old Nintendo Power Glove.
Yeah, those graphics were. Yeah, I don't know how well they did in '91, but they didn't hold up.
No.
Yeah, because it's he's messing with Breckenmeyer's character. His name is
Spencer.
Mm-hmm. And then that's when John Doe gets to the house because they're all looking for Spencer because they can't find him.
Oh, yes.
And then he starts bouncing around in the hallways and
Punching holes in the walls.
Yeah.
Eventually they realize they have to go into the dream to try to save Spencer.
Oh yeah, and out of nowhere we find out that John can just go into dreams.
Yeah.
Did we ever know that before?
When he's like, I gotta go into his dream, and it's like, wait, that was not brought up before.
Yeah, like,
Right.
you could just do that.
She just bashes him in the head with a board, which knocks him through a table into the dream world.
How fucking convenient.
And then she just appears because she's like, oh, all I do is meditate.
Oh, yeah.
And I can jump into this dream.
Yeah,
Breathing and meditation, and I can go into anyone's dream.
within seconds too.
Yeah.
And she was going to explain that to him as if she could teach him that in seconds too. Like, oh yeah, I don't have to hit you.
Yeah.
But
There's
like,
an easier way. All you do is just breathe,
yeah,
and you'll be there.
yeah, like that's
No.
easy.
Come on.
Come on.
How long have you been working on this? Months? Years? Yeah, I'm not picking that up in 30 seconds.
Pretty ridiculous. So yeah, they go in and they first pull the controller out, thinking they've stopped him, but then of course he gets the power glove.
Power glove.
You forgot this. Now we're
Forgot
playing.
about the power glove.
And it's kind of a cool design actually, because I think like it's not quite the same design as a real power glove. They give it like a wood grain like aesthetic,
Which
like
which led me to believe that Nintendo probably wasn't 100% on board with.
yeah,
You think if Nintendo would have been on board, it would have been just an actual Nintendo power glove with the name on it and everything for the
Yeah,
advertising. So they're
right.
probably like, no. We'll make your own video game, but no.
they did get to say the tagline though, so that's something. But don't even really recall how he ended up dying in this.
He
Fell down the stairs and got sucked into like a portal of hell.
yeah.
And then like exploded onto the TV, the blood.
Oh,
the
yeah.
TV.
Yeah,
We forgot the Johnny Depp cameo to start it.
that's right.
This is your brain. This is your brain on drugs, and then Freddy kills Johnny Depp.
I don't know what he's talking, what drugs he's on. That looks like eggs to me.
Yeah,
Do you remember that This Is Your Brain on Drugs
Yeah.
commercial?
Oh, I remember that.
Do you remember that one, Jeremy?
it's kind of.
There's that lady smashes the whole kitchen.
It was
Wasn't
a little before my
frying
time.
pan.
But
Didn't Rachel Lee Cook redo one of those?
I don't know.
Because I remember like they would just smash, and then like later they did it again. I think it was Rachel Lee Cook where like she smashed the eggs, and then she like picked up the frying pan and just like destroyed the whole kitchen.
That's the one I remember.
Okay, yeah.
But yeah, that is Freddy. Like, I don't know what drugs he's on.
Yeah.
That looks like eggs to me.
So then they go back. They take John back to the shelter. Maggie and Tracy, who are the only people still left alive. Oh, that's right. They find that there's people have no memory when they return.
Which again, so Freddy has these magical powers that like supposedly only exist within the town of Springwood. But as soon as those two are dead and they leave Springwood, like everybody else is just like, nope, you're lying. You made these two kids up, except for Yaphet Kotto,
Right.
who's just like, no, I remember everything. I'm my own dream master.
Right. Yeah. What? Why?
Who seems to have this preternatural knowledge of like everything that's going on. Like,
Yeah. Maybe we could have used, instead of like an hour and 36 minutes, maybe we could have used like an hour and 45 just to explain a little more.
Yeah.
Well, this is an instance where just a little more could have been more.
Maybe that whole scene with like them driving and making a left and a right and going straight and ending up the same time. You might not want that part.
Yeah, a little less of that.
Yeah. A little less of Carlos freaking out about the map when he's trying to unfold it and it just takes up the whole back of the van. And explain a little more.
The map says we're fucked.
Yeah, it did set up that line though.
It kind of reminded me of that scene from, I think it was Leprechaun 4, where they're running around that cave and they just keep going in circles. Yeah. Waste of time. So, yeah, we find out the doctor is the one that has the memory and he's got all that control. Then we find a little bit more out about Freddy's past, which kind of interesting. I mean,
Right.
it almost like they went almost a little too far with it. They gave a little too much information because I like where they keep a backstory vague for a villain, so you don't. I don't want to empathize too much with my
Right.
killers.
well, I think even with more backstory, like I still don't empathize with Freddy. Like,
Oh yeah, me neither.
I mean, all right, yeah, he's made fun of, but like, Listen, I was bullied when I was a kid, but I didn't torture small animals and go around and kill, like, you know, I didn't turn into being a serial killer. Like, now, granted,
not to our knowledge.
now, granted, I also did not have
Everything.
an abusive father either,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah.
You didn't take the pet rat out and just hit it with a hammer?
No. So,
Who hasn't?
so I know in the past movies, they mentioned that Freddy had a daughter, because they do talk about him, like, having a wife and kid.
Mm-hmm.
But at no point in 1 through 5 do they ever, like, really stress that he had a daughter. Like, they just kind of say, like they never even, I don't think they even say that he killed his wife. Like, they just say, like, she was there.
Right.
Like, who knows, like, she still could have been alive. I mean, obviously she wasn't, because we learn in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
But it also further proves to me that number 2 is either not canon
Mm-hmm.
or like an alternate storyline that really has nothing to do, because like 1, 3, 4, 5, and now 6 all kind of follow each other and build off of the same story. 2 is just kind of over here.
Yeah.
Like,
They're just like,
like-
that didn't happen.
They should just say that all happened in that one dude's mind completely. He just, yeah. Yeah. So, yeah. It's kind of cool, though, too, that they just had Robert Englund as a self-playing Freddy, and I think that worked really well. I mean, they do visit this again, too, I think, in that pilot episode for that TV series they did. I think they go in more depth about Freddy stuff, if I'm not mistaken. But,
I never
It's-
watched the show, so.
it's an interesting concept. Felt it could have been executed a little better, but it's cool that they explored it because it's different. It's not just your average run-of-the-mill, like, here's our group of people. They're all going to be tortured and killed in different ways in their dreams, and then we move on. It's like there's different things going on. And,
Right.
There's also, so we've got Maggie, right? I think her name is Dr. Maggie. She finds out she was actually the daughter. And so she kind of goes on sort of a quest to find out information about her backstory. And so she goes to, doesn't she go somewhere to find that out, what her birth name really was? Or get the papers?
Yeah, she goes to the adoption place, and they're like, well, we don't give out the information for her biological parents or
But
something
like
like
she finds like a newspaper clipping and manages to match it perfectly with another newspaper
yeah.
clipping.
Oh,
and
that's
then,
right.
And then
yeah.
like goes home and talks to her mom, and her mom was like, "Yeah, you were adopted. We were never allowed to. We didn't know anything." And then she's like, "I must be Freddy's daughter." Yeah, Like,
Right.
there's lots of leaps of logic there.
So this is the part where they kind of go through that, like, it's almost like, kind of reminded me of Silent Hill, where there's like those abandoned places and then there's like one crazy person in each room. Like there's a teacher and yeah. So then John dies at that sequence at some point too, right?
Yeah, because he was like, "You can't kill me. I'm your child." And he's like, "Oh no, you're not." Stab, stab, stab.
Yeah.
one of the more uneventful deaths in the.
Right,
Just
which
no.
like
death.
you feel like they were setting him up to be like the hero of the movie or like the whole, and then when you're like, no, Freddy had a daughter.
Right. Yeah. Not a son. You're out. Then we discover this whole origin of Freddy with the demons. This fucking sucks. I hate that they did this. Like, first of all, it looks like shit. The animation is horrible on these
Looks,
fucking
looks like
demons.
something else.
Yeah, it does.
Well, and it kind of resets the rules and kind of resets them in an unfair way.
Oh yeah, because the
Where, like-
rules up to this point in this movie have been set.
So
not
clear.
even. I'm saying like this movie resets the rules for everything, but for the franchise, like Freddy, was like there was a set of rules that he sort of had to abide by, but now it's kind of like anybody, like he was getting his ass handed to him left and right by everybody.
Yeah.
But because these dream demons, like it doesn't matter if he dies in his dream or not, like the dream demons just bring him back.
Right.
So like, if he gets his butt kicked by, some little scream queen, like, well, the dream demon's just like, well, go again.
Go-
Yeah.
Have another chance.
Have another chance. Like there's no real beating him.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, for sure. I mean, and it's just the whole thing though is just too that I don't know. I hated the whole thing where they're just like, oh, I need this power, and they're like, oh, we know you like this or something. It was really stupid.
Yeah.
Like they didn't even have to have a line for that. They shouldn't have said anything. Yeah, fucking stupid. That's all I have to say about that.
Yeah.
And at this same point, we find out that this is another really stupid thing. I might be jumping a little bit around here, but the doc figures out he could bring Freddy into the real world, much like Nancy did all those years back. And
with that, it's like, well, Freddy goes after kids, and then he's going after the doctor. Like that, he's a grown ass man.
Yeah.
All right.
Maybe Freddy figured he had to take care of him because he's the only one that has this weird power to control everything somehow. And then they also this is where they bring out the 3D glasses, which was a real tie-in. The last 10 minutes of the film were in 3D as a little shtick they did. And
Right, and then what I know she was Maggie, but now she's Catherine.
yes.
Becomes a knife throwing expert.
Right. Yeah.
I don't like the whole movie. Like she's this meek little doctor who didn't know that she was Freddy's daughter. Finds out she's Freddy's daughter, and now becomes an expert at knife throwing and throwing stars and
karate
and crossbows. Like she just is like all of a sudden she's Captain Badass.
Right.
Like,
right. Yeah. Yeah. And really, what was the point of those glasses? Because the doctor's like, oh, it can be anything you want and you'll have the upper hand. So she puts them on and then they just disappear, and then what?
The point with those, I believe, was because they were doing that 3D effect, they were letting the audience know when to put on the glasses.
Sure, but okay.
That's the only thing.
That's it.
There was
They can do
whatever you want.
No,
she
I
uses
was
them unless those glasses turn her into a knife throwing.
Maybe that's what it was. I missed that, but they weren't very clear on that aspect.
No,
but no, I kept waiting for them to be like some important ooh, this is what they can really do. But
it's just to let the audience know to put on your glasses.
Right. Yeah.
That was the whole point of that.
Yeah. So I imagine maybe a cool sequence with the 3D might have been the brain sequence where she goes in and you get to see the brain and some of the different doors locking.
Yeah. Weird
stuff flying. The demons, I think, are a part of that. The something else demons.
Rhymes with demons.
But otherwise, it probably was very cheesy. I know they did some stuff where they put weapons at the screen, a la Part 3 of Friday the 13th.
Yeah.
So yeah, probably sucked. But so the sequence here is this is our final showdown. She does actually manage to get a hold of Freddy, and they do wake her up, but then they realize he didn't get pulled in, but actually now they're all part of the dream, I guess.
Because is that when he has the line of every town has an Elm Street?
Oh yeah,
that's one of the best lines in there.
Yeah, I wrote that down and then I referenced you because I know you.
Yep, that's the street I live on. But there's that line, and then the one where, like you were saying, with them resetting what he can do, because she makes the whole comment about how it's, what does she say? It's my reality or something. He says, yeah, but it's my rules.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So it's like, he's saying right there, he can just do basically whatever he wants.
Right. Well, and that's kind of where my problem with a lot of the modern horror films, starting probably before Hostel, but Hostel's the biggest, I think, example where I like horror films, I like the Jason movies because it never seems like he's completely unbeatable. Where Freddy up until this point, you always felt like there was a chance. Mm-hmm. But the movie where you're going up against a bad guy and no matter what you do, you're gonna lose.
Right.
I'm not really into that kind of horror movie. I even if the hero ends up losing, at least maybe they had a shot. They just, and the sequels, maybe the hero gets a chance. But
right.
And this one, it's now set where oh yeah, none of those people ever stood a chance because Freddy just gets to do whatever he wants to do because these weird dream demons that we've never spoken of until now.
Right. Have the power to keep bringing them back.
Yeah.
Until, though, there's one thing that this does actually stop them, we find out, and it's a pipe bomb.
Yeah, all the weapons that are down, the whole arsenal they have that they've confiscated, that they say from the patients or kids, whatever you want to call them. Yeah, it's like, okay, there's throwing knives, those throwing stars, crossbows, pipe. It's like, that's
They
the
just- and
stuff
they
the
just
kids
keep
are
on-
sneaking in. And
Yeah.
it's like, we'll just put it down there in a cabinet.
Right. Isn't there like a reference earlier to like, oh, they really need to come pick this up?
Yeah,
or
aren't the
something?
cops, he's like, aren't the cops supposed to, like, dispose of this? He's like, the cops are supposed to do a lot of things.
Yeah.
He just walks away. I'm like, all right.
Yeah. So, yeah, the final blow is the pipe bomb, which we saw earlier, and that is enough to blow him up and make the demons unable to revive him
Somehow.
after
Even-
all he's been through.
Yeah, after all the other ways he's been killed like that. I don't know. Like I spent a little time after I watched the movie last night trying to research like how would you ultimately end Freddy?
Oh, I thought you were
Like-
going to say researching how to make a pipe bomb.
No. Like how would you ultimately end Freddy? And there doesn't seem to be any consistent viewpoint where like, oh well, if you take his head and put his head over here and you put his arm over here, like destroy the glove, destroy the there doesn't seem to be anything. I did find it was Nightmare on Elm Street Films.com
Okay.
has a great timeline
Okay.
of like when Amanda Kruger was born, when he was born, like when he got caught, when it breaks down the exact order of like, so it takes all 6 of the movies and puts them in the order. It even gives you where like, because obviously 7 is not part of the franchise at all. Because like that's a whole nother thing in of
That's
itself.
a new nightmare, if you will.
Right. But even brings in the fact that Freddy vs. Jason is canon, so somehow Freddy manages to live, spoilers,
Right.
from the pipe bomb and comes, so like from 91 when they made the final Nightmare to 2003, 2004,
3, yeah.
yeah, when Freddy vs. Jason came out, like that Freddy was essentially dead. Like,
Right, yeah. Yeah. And somehow they bring him back. Yeah.
There was this brief, like, this is how we managed to do it and why he had to use Jason, which still, it's a great movie. I love that
It is,
movie.
yeah.
But it's still so convoluted as to why he needed Jason to make people. Anyway,
Yeah.
that's another podcast.
Well, ultimately, I think the best way that they thought of how they were going to end him, which they did already, was 3, where they did like with the bones and the holy water and stuff. I think that's logical.
Right.
It would have been.
Doesn't he make reference to that too?
Yeah,
in this
well,
one?
when he's cutting off his own
fingers,
fingers.
they
like,
tried to
yeah.
do this.
they tried to do this. They tried that. They even tried holy water.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So at least they're like they do make that. That's funny.
Right, there's a
That's
lot
not-
of this movie takes the franchise to like cartoon levels.
Yeah.
Like it kind of takes it off the rail, and I think there's a reason why. Even 7 was this whole other thing.
Yeah.
But I think there's a reason why from 91 to 2003, like they were just kind of done with it because like they didn't know how to recover from this one.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's get into the hell yeah moments. I'm gonna say the Nintendo reference. I'm a sucker for video game stuff, so gotta go with that.
That was a good one. The Power Glove, that made me laugh. When he made the Elm Street sign come up, and he's like, every place has a Elm Street.
Every town has an Elm
every
Street.
town has a sign. Yeah.
I don't know. I was like, I need that as a sign. The Carlos one, I liked that whole one, especially when he brought the chalkboard out and made his head explode. That one, and then when he's Catherine, she puts on his glove. That moment too.
Oh yeah.
When he's like, it's in your blood, put it, and then she like doesn't want to, and then eventually finally puts the glove on and stabs him with it.
Mm-hmm.
That was one of the oh hell yeah moments.
Nice.
Because it's like, it's in your blood, put
Yeah.
it on, and she's like trying to fight it, and then actually uses it in the end.
I actually thought that was a really that was sexy. She was wearing that glove. Oh my god.
All right. The part I didn't get with that, not with her being sexy, like going back to the pipe bomb.
Right.
How hard did she hit him in the chest to impale him with it?
Yeah,
Because she
you
sticks
really.
it in his chest. That's got.
Well,
Yeah.
she did stab him first, so maybe she opened a hole.
I guess.
And,
I gotta hide my my glove when Jeremy's around.
You really
Apparently.
do. Yeah. It can really just be. That's all it takes is just someone wearing a Freddy glove. It doesn't matter who.
Oh my!
All right. So final rating. I gotta give it. I'm gonna give it 3 hearing aids out of 5. It at times really drags on. And it's kind of cheesy. I mean, there's a lot of things where they just all of a sudden like, it's this way because it is, as we talked about. So, but overall, I mean, I do like, I like the silliness, and I think that they tried to do something different, and it was a fun watch overall. So, 3 out of 5.
I'd probably go. I want to say 4, but because of some of the things they did, but I'm gonna give it 3.5 Power Gloves out of 5.
Nice.
Like it's definitely up there for my favorite of the franchise. I think 3, and then maybe this one,
Okay.
because I do enjoy that silliness that they bring to it, and it's just that, like you said, with like the Nintendo references, like a lot of those childhood references.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's watchable. It's fun. It's ridiculous, but I'm only giving it a 2 because it just...
Two what's out of what?
2... I'm going to get 2 chopped off fingers out of 5. I feel like it's the reason why the Freddy franchise died. Like, I feel like if you go back and maybe do more with her, like, or you do some stuff between when Freddy supposedly died and managed to come back. Like, there's a lot of ground that you can cover. Like, well, why... Now that the Dream Demons exist, whether we like them or not, like, do more with that. Like, figure out, like, all right, well, do we have to kill the Dream Demons? How do we kill the Dream Demons? Where did they come from?
Right.
Do they give other people powers? Like, there's just so much that they added to this movie and then didn't explore. It is watchable. It's fun, but
I think you just wipe the Dream Demons up with a tissue.
Gross. All right. With that said,
all right. Well, now that you've killed this podcast,
nocturnal emission of Dream Demons.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thanks again, guys. It's been a blast. We have just one more Nightmare on Elm Street film left, which really isn't canon, but we're gonna do it anyways. And then that's the end of the Freaky Film Club. But until then, we'll see you later. Stay spooky.